Good morning and welcome, dear participants. Extremely happy to have our honorable judges with us, parents and teachers of the schools that are participating in this very prestigious Frank Anthony Selection Round debate, and our 10th, 11th, and 12th standard students. We are extremely honored at HFS to be hosting the selection round of the Frank Anthony Memorial Debate, a very prestigious debate which is conducted all over the country at the same time, 11 o'clock this morning. And I'm sure we are all going to witness extremely good debating skills because all of you, dear participants, I know, have already cleared the first round and are vying for entering into the final round of the debate. I will leave the announcement of the topic because this specific debate is very special in many ways. The topic is revealed only an hour before the debate commences, and all the participants walked into the library at 10 o'clock. In fact, there was a time when the council did permit the usage of computers and technology, but we realized that it did not really work because the content turned out to be clownish. So we've gone back to the conservative methodology of the newspapers and the magazines. But I'm sure with the kind of maturity that you have gained in class 11 and 12, you have learned the knack of absorbing all the general knowledge with you. So we commence this debate and looking forward to excellent debating skill at work. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Debate is the lifeblood of democracy. This quote by Louis Brandeis reminds us that the exchange of ideas and the challenge of different perspectives are essential for the progress of society. Good morning, honorable judges, principal ma'am, teachers, esteemed guests, fellow debaters, and organizers. I'm Navya Gupte, and it is my privilege to welcome you to the Stage 2 of Frank Anthony Memorial All India Inter-School Debate Competition 2024 for the ISE section, a prestigious platform for intellectual discourse and critical thinking. The importance of debate extends far beyond this room. In our rapidly changing world, the ability to articulate our thoughts clearly and convincingly is more vital than ever. Before we begin, let us know a little about Mr. Frank Anthony. Frank Anthony was a many-faceted person. He was an educationist, a lawyer, a parliamentarian, and a prominent leader of the Anglo-Indian community. He was born in Jabalpur on 25th September 1908. He was educated at Nagpur University, where he received the Viceroy's Gold Medal. He then went on to study law at the Inner Temple in England, from where he was called to the bar. On his return to India, Mr. Anthony successfully fought many legal battles, especially safeguarding the rights of minorities. Mr. Anthony was a member of the Constituent Assembly and the Drafting Committee and was entrusted with the task of writing a new constitution of Free India. His seminal book, Britain's Betrayal in India, The Story of the Anglo-Indian Community, is an excellent chronicle of the Anglo-Indian community, the struggles and challenges it faced in pre-independent India and in Free India. As an educationist, Mr. Anthony is best remembered for his proposal to establish an alternate board to the Senior Cambridge Examination. Thus, the Council for the Indian School Certificate Examinations came into being. Mr. Anthony was in fact the founder chairman of the Council for the Indian School Certificate Examinations, CISCE, from 1958 to 1993. This annual debate competition has thus been appropriately named after Mr. Frank Anthony, which is exactly why we come together to honor the legacy of Frank Anthony, a champion of free speech and critical inquiry. As we proceed with today's competition, let us remember that every argument made, every point rebutted, and every stance defended contributes to our growth. Whether you're a participant or a spectator, this is an opportunity to learn, to challenge yourself, and to appreciate the diverse perspectives that enrich us. And with that, I would like to call Nishita to introduce our judges for today.
Thank you, Navya. I am pleased to introduce our distinguished judges for the day. Our first judge is Dr. Ranjini Krishnaswamy. Dr. Ranjini Krishnaswamy has been a founder principal of St. Gregorius High School and the Billabong High International School, Thane. Dr. Krishnaswamy is the director of the Dosti Foundation School, Mumbai. She is a recipient of the National Award for Teachers and Principals from the Government of India and has won several other awards too. Dr. Krishnaswamy has been in the academic arena for close to 4 decades now, 25 years of which she has been a principal. She is the West Indian coordinator for PEAS, which stands for Program for Environmental Awareness in Schools, a national, non-government body for promoting environmental education among children. She has also been instrumental in creating a text-cum workbook based on Agatha Christie's The Mousetrap, which is an English text for the ICSE students. She is closely associated with the Global Cities Incorporation, a project in the Bloomberg Philanthropies, New York, and has participated in international symposiums organized by them. It is indeed an honor to have you among us, ma'am. A very warm welcome to you. Our second judge for the day is Mrs. Shilpa Qasim. Mrs. Shilpa Qasim is a soft skills trainer and instructional designer, a body language expert, and a motivational speaker who also specializes in communication skills and public speaking. She holds a distinction in finance and is a proud student of the esteemed Sydenham College of Commerce and Economics. To top that, she holds a C1 level proficiency in French. An honors student and a trainer associated for the past 2 decades with the Trinity College London for speech and drama communication skills, Mrs. Qasim prides herself with over 25 years of experience. She excels at designing events for international curriculums, schools, right from their startup through the days of creating a place of glory. She has also been working with international schools like the Billabong High School, Podar School, and the Lodha World School for more than 11 years, all at inception stage. Making a marked difference to at least one life, my dear audience, is her drive and passion. Please give her a huge round of applause. With that, I request Soumya to come and introduce our third judge for the day.
I am thrilled to introduce our third and final judge for today, Mrs. Yamika Narayanan, a distinguished professional with an MBA in marketing management and extensive experience in the media and communication industry. She has worked for leading brands like the Times of India, Femina, and Filmfare. In addition to her corporate experience, Mrs. Narayanan is also an esteemed educator and has served as a visiting faculty member at prestigious institutions like the Institute of Management Studies at Tardeo, Excel Management in Ahmedabad, the Times of School Marketing in New Delhi, and Patna University, sharing her expertise on topics like communication and presentation skills for graduates pursuing vocational courses. Her academic pursuits have taken her globally, including the study of Mandarin at the Dalian University of Foreign Languages in China. She has been an evangelist for creative initiatives like Chicago District 65 at Illinois, focusing on ideation and execution of initiatives like aspiring authors. During her college years, Mrs. Narayanan was crowned College Queen and also awarded the title of Ideal Prefect. So join me in welcoming Mrs. Yamika Narayanan. Now, let me introduce our moderator for today's debate, Mrs. Chandra Karki. Mrs. Karki is a dedicated educator with over 20 years of experience. Holding a Bachelor of Education degree from Mumbai University, a postgraduate degree in bioinformatics from the Bioinformatics Institute of India, and a bachelor's degree in zoology from Pune University. With a decade of experience in teaching both ICSE and IGCSE curriculum, she currently teaches the subjects of mathematics and chemistry to 8th and 9th grade students at Hiranandani Foundation School, Thane. Beyond her classroom responsibilities, Mrs. Karki has served as an ICSE supervisor for the past 4 years. She has played a decisive role in organizing and leading various inter-school events across Mumbai and has guided the student body successfully as the head of the Interact Club for 8 years. I now request Mrs. Chandra ma'am to proceed with the program.
Thank you, Soumya. Good morning to our distinguished judges, respected principal ma'am, teachers and parents who have accompanied the participants, debaters for the day, and the student body. The Frank Anthony Memorial Debate is not only a celebration of the art of debating, but is also a platform that fosters a spirit of healthy competition and camaraderie among young minds, making it a highly anticipated event in the CISE school calendar. We welcome the 18 talented speakers representing the 9 CISE schools from Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Goa. Congratulations to each of you for making it to the second round. A big round of applause for the participants. Keep up the momentum, stay focused, and continue to bring your best to the table. For absolute fairness, the names of the schools will not be disclosed, and the school teams have been assigned different names. I request the participants to raise their hand as I introduce them to the judges and the audience. Representing Team Frost are Anika Kumar and Sweda Morajkar. From Team Keats, we have Tanay Nirav Desai and Shivam Vipul Kapadia. Team Wild is represented by Rajvi Devi Gohel and Abhijit Mumuti. Team Blake consists of Manya Agarwal and Alankriti Bharadwaj. From Team Shelley, we have Adi Binivale and Prisha Pillai. Representing Team Tagore are Arav Bardhan and Ishmit Kaur. From Team Elliott, we have Rudra Pratap Singh and Vaishnavi Srivastav. Team Whitman is represented by Vashisht Kaushik and Treshan Rao Gani. And from Team Tennyson, we have Bhargav Sen Bhaumik and Rujula Lakshmikant Rao. The topic for the debate was sent to the school in a sealed envelope and was opened this morning in the presence of the participants. The topic was announced 1 hour before, giving the participants 1 hour to prepare. They were given access to the books and periodicals in the school library, but the use of internet and electronic devices was not allowed. Each team was responsible for choosing a speaker for the proposition and the opposition. I'll now announce the rules for the debate. Participants must state whether their argument is in favor or against the motion at the beginning of their speech. Speakers are not permitted to read from prepared text and will be penalized if found doing so. It is also important for participants to refrain from using unparliamentary language during the debate. Each speaker will have 4 minutes to present their argument, with a warning bell ringing at the 3-minute mark and 2 quick bells at the 4-minute mark. Anything spoken after the 4-minute mark will not be considered. After each speaker finishes the speech, there will be a 2-minute period for rebuttal. This rebuttal will consist of short and precise questions from members of the opposing teams regarding the content of the speaker's presentation. Participants speaking for the motion can only ask questions to those speaking against the motion, and vice versa. If no question is asked within 10 seconds, a reminder will be given, and if still no question is asked, full points will be awarded to the speaker. It is important to note that cross-questioning of contestants is not allowed. Judges, please take note. The participants wearing green badges will be speaking for the motion, and wearing the orange badges are speaking against the motion. The scoring will be in the following format: content, 15 marks, argument and rebuttal, 10 marks, appropriateness of language, 10 marks, delivery, 10 marks, demeanor, poise, and stance, 5 marks. The debate will be judged by a panel of 3 established judges whose decision will be final under all circumstances. This debate is for students in class 11 and 12 in category 1, stage 2. The winning team from today's selection stage will advance to the national finals. Now coming to today's topic. Today's topic is both interesting and relevant, making it a great opportunity for students to engage in a lively discussion. The topic is space exploration should be publicly funded. I repeat the topic: space exploration should be publicly funded. So dear participants, stay confident, speak with conviction, and let your passion for the topic shine through. All the best. So we open the floor. Let's begin with the debate for today with the first speaker from Team Frost. Let's welcome the first speaker from Team Frost.
The earth is littered with the ruins of empires that believed that they were eternal. Good morning, respected judges, listeners, and my worthy opponents. My name is Sweda Morajkar, and today I stand here firmly for the motion: space exploration should be publicly funded. It is a universally acknowledged fact that our world is a byproduct of the multitudes of genesis that have taken place. Change is inevitable. Growth and development is desirable. The result of growth and development is space exploration. What do we mean by space exploration? In simple terms, it is the knowing of the unknown. It is the knowing of the outer world. Without space exploration, we would not even have been known or aware of the various planets or the possibility of Earth outside, of life outside of Earth. In this argument, I would like to emphasize more on the terms publicly funded. Our country preaches to be a democratic country. But do we really know how our funds are utilized? There is no concise breakup of how our money is allocated by the government. We can take an example of the recent tax reforms. Majority of the people in our country were unhappy. Why is that? Because of the increase of tax burden on the middle class. Additionally, the no quid pro quo status of taxes, which basically means that people don't even get or are aware of the direct benefits of the money they allocate to the government. In context of space exploration, I would like to give an example of USA and Russia. The both countries competed against each other in knowing which country reaches the moon first. Both the governments invested exuberant amounts of funds without consulting the people of its country. Needs and wants of the people were neglected. And let's not forget about French Revolution, where the people overthrew the monarchy because they had no say in how the financial reforms worked in the country. I would like to conclude my speech by saying that the concept of funding should be for the people, by the people, and of the people. People should have the ultimate right and authority to know where they want to invest their money without giving government the ultimate responsibility of utilizing their money and not knowing how and where it is utilized. With that, with the points I've made, I rest my case because I have nothing to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sweda. Now questions for the rebuttal round. We have Team Keats. Team Wild. Is it Team Wild? Yes.
Why do you think space... Okay, thank you.
why do you think space exploration should be made a priority from public funds?
You see, after all, the government still uses public funds. They utilize these funds for many fields and domains. When we speak in context of space exploration, it is, after all, a miscellaneous expense. So, wouldn't it be fair if people knew how much money is allocated in something not so important in your point of view, such as space exploration? Thank you for your question.
Any other question? We have question from Team Whitman.
My name is Vashish Kaushik. I'm against the motion. My worthy competitor, you mentioned about how we live in a democracy and how people should be given the responsibility to choose. So don't you think that considering now that the general populace is not financially literate per se, is it wrong to hand over them a total expense of $117 billion to the hands of people who don't know how to use them?
Okay. What we need to understand is these funds are on voluntary basis. They need not to be compulsory. And speaking of financial literacy, I think that is the responsibility of government, that they should have a choice for the people to understand where their resources are allocated without the government having the ultimate responsibility. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Thank you, Sweda. Now we move to the next speaker of Team Frost, that's Anika Kumar.
As children, how many of us wanted to be astronauts? How many of us wanted to go to the moon? Space exploration, a topic that has fascinated humanity from ancient mythology to modern media. Star Wars, Star Trek, Guardians of the Galaxy, I could go on and on and on. Good morning, respected judges, my worthy opponents, and audience members. Today, I stand against the motion that space exploration should be publicly funded. I am not a Mumbaikar, so when I landed in Bombay, I was filled with excitement to see the new sights, to smell the new smells. However, as I passed the sea link, that excitement very quickly turned to horror. I saw the Dharavi slum, the biggest slum in the world, and overlooking that slum was the Antilla, the home of the Ambanis, some of the richest family in the world. This scene brought about a very simple question in regards to this topic. Can we afford it? Space exploration is an extremely costly process. The average Joe like you and me cannot afford to shell out funds to send a rocket to the moon. Therefore, neither can a majority of our population, which is under the poverty line. The wealth is concentrated in the hands of the few. This brings about the question, why do we have to have space exploration, right? Why can't we be content on our little blue rock floating in the cosmos of the universe? 2 words, scientific spirit. As a humanity, we have been constantly striving to find out where we are, where we came from, and where we will go. It is ignorant to not explore these possibilities if we have the facilities and have the wherewithal to do so. Now, another very important topic comes to mind, a reason why I find this debate slightly redundant: financial literacy. How can we ensure that our public is literate enough to be able to see the importance of space exploration and the importance of allocating funds to it? Because let me tell you, space exploration has numerous pros. It widens the horizons of our understanding of where we are. It pushes scientific boundaries. It increases patriotism, and most importantly, it facilitates my favorite invention, Wi-Fi. Therefore, keeping in mind the realities of our public and the importance of space exploration, I firmly stand against the motion that space exploration should be publicly funded. I do believe that the government should be more transparent in its allocation of funds, not that it should be exempt from deciding the allocation of funds altogether. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Team Tagore with a rebuttal question.
My worthy opponent, if there is a disparity in wealth distribution in the country, it does not mean that there would be the same tax allocation for every section of society. So what do you have to say about this when there can be a difference in the way taxes are distributed in the country?
The distribution, thank you, my worthy opponent, for that question. The distribution of taxes, I feel, yes, while it does factor into our allocation of funds, is not enough to fund an entire industry of space exploration. Space exploration is an extremely costly industry, and even with the distribution and allocation of funds, more taxes for the rich, less taxes for the poor, it would not be enough to fund an entire industry. Thank you.
Yes, Team Tennyson.
Okay, I'm Rujula, and here's a question for you. During the times of Dr. Kalam, Professor Vikram Sarabhai, I think all of us have noticed how India has made a major transformation in its space exploration programs. We started out from nothing, yet here we are today, having Chandrayans, Aditya L1, and yes, we came step by step, stone by stone. You say we do not have that kind of financial power, but we did come along. What is your say on that?
I said the public does not have that kind of financial power. The topic is, should the public allocate and provide these funds? These funds were provided by the government. Yes, the help of the public, but the public was not the sole responsible factor for funding space exploration. Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to the team Keats. The first speaker from Team Keats is Tanay Desai.
On 19th April 1975, India put its first step forward in the field of space exploration when the satellite Aryabhat was successfully launched by a public organization. Today, 50 years later, I, Tanay Desai, stand before you to support the notion that space exploration should be publicly funded. Now, what is the need to explore space? Is it just to satiate our curiosity, that knowing what lies beyond this planet of ours? No. It is not the case. It is indeed to seek resources, find habitable planets, and even to contact extraterrestrial species if they do exist. Now, the way I see our reality, we are crumbling under the burden of increasing population. According to a World Economic Forum report, 40% of human population is facing the brunt of a lack of resources. Now, space exploration provides a viable solution to this problem. Now, governments need to realize how to utilize public funds. Now, I see many people crib about why is there a lack of space exploration in our country. Now, let me tell you why. Government-run space organizations are often allotted a minute quantity of the total funds. They need to prioritize space exploration and need to put public money to better use and for their own well-being. Since it is for the public, why shouldn't it be funded by the public? Indirectly, space exploration provides benefits that will be reaped by the public. Thirdly, if space exploration is taken over by private corporations, that is, if this field is privatized, they will likely focus on their own benefits over the benefits of the general public. Let me paint you a picture. People are dying on the streets of hunger and of not having basic amenities, while moneymakers are making trips to various planets. This was seen in the recent visit of Jeff Bezos to space. Now, is this the reality that we envision? Or is a reality in which all of us have sufficient amenities to survive? Is that what we envision? Or is that what we envision, which I spoke earlier? In conclusion, using public funds to fund space exploration missions is not wrong at all. In my opinion, it might be our most viable option. To conclude my speech, I have a short poem. In this dirty, privatized world, in which flags of injustice are often unfurled, let us take a step in the right direction, because this is what stands between hope and extinction. Thank you. I rest my case.
Thank you, Tanay. We have Shelley ready for the rebuttal question. Team Shelley.
I am Adi Biniwale and I am against the motion. You said that space exploration, you are taking money from the public. All in all, that is from the poor to the rich. That is the entire country as a whole. But the benefits reaped from, space exploration are going to be only provided to the rich. So you are using the money, you are using everyone's money to again do the same thing and provide stuff for the wealthy. What is your say on this?
Thank you for your question, worthy opponent. I would like to answer you by saying that, first of all, I mentioned that using public money, the government can provide services to the general public rather than only helping their rich friends. And I also mentioned that privatization of this sector will lead to the reality that you mentioned, that the benefits will be only reaped by the wealthy and their friends. So I feel that if public funds are used, the government must ensure that it is used for the service of them. Thank you.
We have Team Frost ready with a question.
My name is Anika Kumar, and I stand against this motion. My worthy opponent, you had mentioned in your speech that there are people dying on the streets of hunger. You had also said that space exploration is to be for the people, by the people. If these people cannot afford to put food on their plates, how will they afford to fund space exploration?
Thank you for your question, my worthy opponent. And first of all, I said in my speech that this is only a figment of our imagination, of the future, which may occur. Currently, I know that there are several people who are not able to put forward money to the government. However, this proposition is solely for the taxpayers who can afford to put out these amenities to the government. Hence, if the taxpayers can invest in a future and can envision such a future, then we may not have to see a reality where people are dying of hunger. Hence, I said that the general public should contribute to space exploration. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanay. Now we invite the next speaker, Shivam Kapadia from Team Keats.
Louis Pasteur once said that in the field of observation, the chance only favors the well-prepared. Good morning, one and all present over here. This is Shivam Kapadia. With the advent of technological advancements and developments in research of aerospace engineering, the number of space exploration projects have literally skyrocketed. That takes us to the topic of today's discussion, that is, space explorations should be publicly funded. I stand against this motion. There are already set up precedents of space exploration wherein they are funded by private companies and they are already successful. If something works, then we should work upon it. Secondly, there are examples like SpaceX by Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, which are completely funded by private companies and have led to great success. Elon Musk has developed a space shuttle which can be reused and recycled. That takes us to the topic that how it will affect the public. 30% of the Indian population lies below the poverty line, and we as Indians don't have much knowledge about what is going on in the space exploration. Well, I do, but there are people who don't. Why should their money be compromised into something that we don't know what will benefit us into? Space exploration these days are merely space journeys. While I do believe that research is happening, that research will take hundreds of years before it will provide us with some optimum resources. Why should the general public invest in something, a future that they will probably never see? To conclude, I would like to say that space explorations should not be publicly funded because it will just affect their livelihood. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivam. We have Team Elliott ready with the question.
I'm Vaishnavi Srivastav speaking for the motion. You talked about Elon Musk. I have a very simple question. Is it only the responsibility of Elon Musk to secure this future of humanity?
No. I believe that it's not only his responsibility, but responsibility of us as a whole. But then we should have optimum knowledge before investing in projects like that, right? we should be sure of consequences and benefits that are coming from it. That's what I wanted to say.
We have Team Tagore.
If public money will be used, won't that lead to increased knowledge in the general population, the knowledge that you yourself mentioned does not exist as of now?
But like I said, talking about India, there are 30% of the population that lies below the poverty line. And even if they are told about it, I don't think they will be able to comprehend it before investing their money. So I believe that public money will be wasted if the project fails. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
We'll take last question. Tennyson, Team Tennyson.
I'm Rujula, and my question for you is, SpaceX is a private organization by Elon Musk, and it does not focus on space exploration to satisfy public needs. It is more of a private organization. We need space exploration to satisfy the needs or the demands of the public that are in future. What is your say on this?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that what you are saying is true. Thank you for your question. But I believe that they are also now focusing on the inhabitation situation in Mars, right? And that will help the public if one day we need to shift to probably Mars. I know this is a very vague statement, but then it will always obviously help humanity in some or the other way if the resources on Earth are falling short.
Thank you, Shivam. Sorry. Okay, ma'am, it's okay. Inviting the speakers from Team Wild, we have Rajvi Devi Gohil. You're speaking for the motion, against. Abhijit Mumiti, speaking for the motion.
I play football. I play football. And as we all know, football requires a special type of shoes known as studs. And I have this really bad habit of I always keep tearing my studs within 6 months of buying them. And it once happened that I was supposed to go on a competition the very next day. And I did not have my studs with me because they were torn. So I had to borrow them from my brother. And what he said, I will always remember. He told me, "Don't you dare tear my shoes. Be careful with what you're doing with my shoes." Good morning. My name is Abhijit Mumiti, and I am here to speak for the motion, space exploration should be publicly funded. Let me just explain what I just said. The reason my brother cared so much for his shoes and what I was about to do with his shoes was that they were his shoes. Essentially, he was sacrificing his shoes so that I could go and play, and obviously I was accountable for whatever I did with those shoes. Now let's look at this from a different perspective. Think of my shoes as funds, and think of my brother as the authority for space exploration, and think of me as the authority for space exploration, and think of my brother as the public. In India, most of the people do not regularly follow space developments. Obviously, we all know about the Chandrayans, the Mangalyans, the Aditya L1s, but we don't know what's regularly happening in the space sector. But I feel that if the space exploration sector is publicly funded, this can be changed, because essentially the people will be paying out of their pockets to fund the space exploration. And when this happens, it is human nature that whenever you give something to somebody, you will always be interested to know what the borrower is actually doing with your funds. So, if the space exploration sector is publicly funded, people will be compelled to follow what is happening in the space sector of India. They will want to know if their money is being put to the right use. And all this, I believe, will lead to increased awareness. A citizen who is aware is the most dangerous person for any authority. If we take this example, if the people become aware, the people in the space sector have no other option but to make sure that they're using their funds properly. They need to take every step right. They need to take every step in the right direction, because otherwise, if they don't, the people will let them know. And the best part is they won't even have to say anything, because actions speak louder than words. They can just stop giving funds to the space exploration, and the people will know that they're not doing the right thing. I would like to give the example of Ocean Gate. Ocean Gate was the submersible that went to look for the Titanic under the sea. The worst part about that was that the experiment was the mission. And I also believe that if the public would have funded the Ocean Gate, then that disaster would not have happened, because the people would have been held accountable, because despite receiving the money, they did not take the right steps. This will also lead to social cohesion and unity, because people will be working for the same cause, because they are working for the nation's development in the space sector. I would like to conclude by saying that if the space sector is publicly funded, it will make the people feel more integrated in the country, because in a way they are directly leading to their country's development in the space sector. And remember, the price for greatness is responsibility. People are not merely lending their money or giving their money, they are lending their attention, time, and responsibility. So all this, I believe, will lead to the country's development. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhijit. Questions for the rebuttal round. We have Team Blake ready with a question.
I'm Manya Agarwal and I stand against the motion. So you said that if the public is dissatisfied, they can just stop giving funds. But that is not possible because the funds come out of their taxes, and if they stop paying taxes, then they're committing a crime. So what are your thoughts about that?
The way I perceive this topic is that the people will have to give funds separately for the space exploration. That is how I perceived this topic. So I felt that if the companies or the people are not doing their job, then the people can just simply stop giving that part of the fund that they give for the space exploration. Thank you.
We have Team Whitman. Team Whitman.
My worthy competitor, firstly, amazing speech, but if people are given complete authority over how much funds they want to allocate towards space exploration, don't you think it puts a restriction on the scientists who are working on the creative part of discovering new planets, which may not currently be possible?
Thank you so much for your question. I believe this works on the principle of incentive for good work. If the scientists, with whatever funds they are getting, if they do the right job, then people obviously will feel motivated to give more funds to the scientists. And obviously, initially, maybe it will be a bit difficult, but I feel, as I said, incentive for good work. So if the scientists do good work, people will be more ready to give more money to the scientists. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijit. Now we invite the second speaker, Rajvi Devi Gohil, from Team Wild.
Good morning, everyone. A short request for the judges. Can I be allowed to use the floor with a mic rather than speaking on the podium? Good morning. My name is Rajvi Devi Gohil, and I am against the motion. The question is, space exploration should be funded publicly. Well, for starters, let me paint you a picture. Let me talk about a dream to know the unknown, a dream to explore, a dream to reach for the stars, to travel to the moon and back. But this dream, my dear friends, might be very dangerous. Because this dream arises from this desire to know the unknown, but it also can lead, but it is also the root of vaulting ambition. Vaulting ambition is the cause of many a death. Let me talk about why I believe that space exploration should not be funded by the general public. When we talk about public is a general mass of people, of a population. It includes all the three classes, the rich, the middle, and the poor. While talking about India, which is a developing country, the rich class lies on the apex of the demographic pyramid. Little in population, but huge impact, but the poor lie in the base of the pyramid, large and helpless. Space exploration should not be funded by the general public because it happens at the cost of a common man. A common man does not dream to reach for the stars, but a common man dreams for there to be food on his plate, for his children to go to a school that fulfills their needs. A common man wishes to earn a decent living, to earn a decent earning which he shares with his wife and children. When we talk about such projects, such large-scale projects being funded by the public, in essence, they do not bring any general benefit to the people, because a common man is worried about paying the taxes and not about reaching for the moon and the stars. What I believe is that such large-scale, expansive operations should be taken up by private investment. These private business tycoons in the economy are the spine of the economy. They support the economy, and they are the ones who have all the means to fund such projects, and also they come up with such means and skills to be able to fund such large-scale projects. When we talk about all of the investment that goes on in such a huge-scale project, the public is suffering. Because a common man in a country like India, which is developing and it has teeming multitudes of people from different economic diversities, do not have the means to protect themselves. While concluding, let me give an example of the famous Greek tragedy of Icarus. Icarus, who once flew too close to the sun, burned his own wax wings. In this case, space exploration from public funds will lead the rich to fly closer to the sun, but it will eventually burn the wings of the common man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajvi Devi. Questions? We have a question from Team Frost.
My name is Sweda, and I am for the motion. My worthy opponent, you harped on the fact that the common men are deprived of basic amenities, and there's an economic disparity. Now, when we speak of public funding, we speak of public funding on a voluntary basis. Doesn't the upper class also constitute to the general public?
Thank you so much for your question. To answer ma'am's question, I would like to say that public expenditure constitutes of the rich, middle, and the poor. And when we talk about voluntary public investment, I believe that a lot of funds which are going to such operations aren't accounted for. Maybe they are, but the general public is still unaware of where exactly such funds are projected towards. And there is a slight possibility that such missions can fail. That will lead to the failure of the funds provided to such large operations.
Team Elliott.
I'm Vaishnavi Srivastav. My stance is for the motion. You talked about wings of wax, but India is one of the largest democracy and is the largest populous country. When the public of India comes together, we won't be the wings of wax, will be wings of steel. So we can still reach for the stars. What do you have to say for that?
Thank you so much for your question. I'd like to say that the wings of steel, which you are talking about, aren't actually the wings of steel, because as I mentioned in my speech, that the rich class only constitutes of the apex, which is not too big of a population to come together to create a large impact. The poor form the base of the economy, and it is still a huge need. It is still a huge need for us to help them rather than focus on such large projects. Thank you.
Thank you. I now invite Team Blake to speak.
Good morning to the judges, my fellow delegates, and one and all present here. I'm Alankriti Bharadwaj, and today I'll be speaking for the motion that space exploration should be publicly funded. Now, it's been established time and time again that the Earth is doomed. And I believe that it's a very true fact. I mean, we're seeing global warming and climate change just continuing to worsen each day. We're seeing record-breaking high temperatures being recorded not only in India, where just this year we reached a whopping 50 degrees Celsius in Delhi, but also across the world. And I mean, Antarctica is growing flowers. Let me rephrase that. Flowers are growing in an area on Earth where no life should be possible because of how cold it is. That fact alone should be enough to open all of our eyes to the fact that the Earth is melting. And when that time comes, space exploration and the results that it yields will be the only thing of use to us as humans. We need to find a substitute for the planet Earth. And let's think from a different perspective for a second. What if, due to space exploration, we were able to find a different planet, a planet with extraterrestrial beings on it? And what if, due to this discovery, we were able to eventually establish contact with these extraterrestrial beings? Do you know what that would entail for us as a planet? We'd be able to share information. Our development could increase tenfold. We might even be able to save Earth from its inevitable demise with that kind of help. Now, you may say that the Earth has the possibility or the ability to recover on its own. But what I believe is there is no chance for Earth to recover naturally, unless and until we, as humans, collectively decide to stop living the way that we are today and regress back to the Stone Age, where there was no technology and we'd have to forage for our survival. And as the saying goes, a child who's seen the sun will never go back to living in the darkness. But to yield all of these positives, to yield all of these results, to save ourselves, we need funding. And this kind of funding can only come from the public, from the people here on Earth. We as humans need to start to take interest in the survival of the human race. And that's why I believe that space exploration should be publicly funded. I rest my case there.
Thank you, Alankriti. Team Shelley.
The thing is, what if a different planet is not found? This is a very big gamble. You are investing billions, maybe trillions of dollars worth of resources into these explorations. Why don't we just leave it to the people who have such resources put aside, who are private owners of such resources, such as Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos? Why are we using our money to do something which is a gamble? Are you going to invest in stake? No, you're not, because you don't know whether you're going to get that money back. So what would you say on this?
Right, so you mentioned leaving it to private owners like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos. But these are the people who act out of self-interest. If they gamble, you said this was a gamble to invest public funds into this. But these people merely, private organizations, they merely travel space or explore space for their own interest. And hypothetically, if they did find a new planet, do you really think they'd tell the general public of what they've discovered? They won't care about us. They just pack their bags and leave Earth.
Next question from Team Tennyson.
Hello, my name is Bhargav Sen Bhaumik, and I stand opposing the motion. You said in your speech that what you're focusing on, extremely sorry for that, I blanked out. What you're focusing on is something very dystopian. It's not palpable. We don't have that kind of problems right now. But the public funding can focus more on what we have, right? The basic problems of economy, red tapeism, inertia of bureaucrats. Why don't we focus on that instead of outer space travel?
Sir, what you just said is you claim that global warming and climate change is not a real issue.
I said that it is not something very palpable to us. It is a real issue, but what you said is finding another planet to live on, that is something very dystopian.
It's due to these issues that we need to find a new planet to live on, because don't you think that global warming or climate change also impacts the common man or the people living on the streets even? Because they have to go through the same heat that we do, and they don't even have a home. We need to find a new planet without these issues so that we can restart as a society.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I now invite the second speaker, Manya Agarwal from Team Lake.
Good morning to the respected jury, my fellow delegates, and one and all present here. My journey to this stage today hasn't been an easy one, and I mean that in the literal sense. I mean, my back is still sore from all the potholes on the road. And there wasn't a single traffic signal that I saw that wasn't populated by beggars. Even at 4 a.m. in the morning, as I made my way to the train station, I saw beggars. And I was perplexed. So I rolled down my window and I asked him, "It's 4 a.m. The entire city is sleeping. Why aren't you?" He said to me, "Madam, I have nowhere to sleep." If our country cannot afford to provide the most basic facilities like infrastructure and shelter to its citizens, then using their money for space exploration is out of the question. Now, why space exploration? How does it contribute to society? In what way does it increase our standard of living? It doesn't. But you know what does, ladies and gentlemen? Public utility services like health, education, transportation, infrastructure, and housing. These are the areas where public funds need to be diverted. Not because you want to satisfy your curiosity, not because you want to find out if there is perhaps a saving grace that might save us from our troubles. We shouldn't be looking for an easy way out. We should be facing our struggles and using what we have to solve them. The cardinal rule of economics is that funds are limited and wants are unlimited. Moreover, these funds need to be used efficiently. Now, both space exploration and these public utility services are human wants. But tell me, what is more important? The way I see it, the efficient utilization of these public limited funds lies in the provision of services, lies in making our lives better. The efficient utilization lies in ensuring that the people that are living on Earth lead happy and comfortable lives. To use the limited funds of the public to satisfy your ego or to answer these questions is a blatant wastage and a blasphemous misuse of these resources. You tell me, how would you want these public funds, the very fund that comes out of your parents' hard-earned money, to be used? Would you want it to be used for your benefit or to answer a series of what-ifs? That's where I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Manya. Team Tennyson for the rebuttal question.
I'm Rujula, and my question for you is that, is space exploration for you merely answering your questions or satisfying ego? Does it mean nothing else to you or maybe the world?
Well, I'd like you to tell me, what are we doing through space exploration? Are we not exploring the possibilities of life beyond Earth? Are we not exploring certain questions that need answers to? I mean, have we actually found anything tangible?
Any other team for the rebuttal round? Team Shelley?
So you talked about providing new housing and infrastructure for the poor people, but what use will the new infrastructure and housing be to the poor people if in the coming future the planet is inhabitable?
Well, I believe that we need to direct these public funds towards making our planet habitable once again and towards ensuring that the people who are living have a chance at leading happy and comfortable lives and a chance at having 2 square meals a day.
Thank you, judges. That was Prisha Pillai speaking for the motion, who asked the rebuttal question just now. Thank you. Now I invite Prisha from Team Shelley. She's speaking for the motion.
Good morning, my fellow participants and esteemed judges. I'll be standing firmly for the motion. Space exploration programs should be publicly funded. In this new age of AI, space programs, innovation, and ideas, the leading pace of transformation is integrated into the world with 4 rapid pillars of connectivity: people, ideas, economy, and environment. One common observation can be made from all around the world: the lack of enthusiasm of the intended beneficiaries towards private initiatives or government schemes. Now, the intended beneficiaries regarding this agenda being the general public. The general public, public funding will ensure more involvement of the general public, which will pave way for greater interest of the people. They'll want to know more what is happening with their money, which will lead to a shared goal amongst themselves, which will lead to more cohesiveness. The second point that I would like to put forward is that exploration and development is not a one-way process. It is a two-way process. Give and take. It is give and take. If ISRO can build village resource centers for their societal missions to integrate space-based missions to the rural sections of our society, then the upper society, the upper class of our society can give back by funding those very missions. Lastly, I would like to conclude by saying that if the problem with communication is the illusion that it has already been accomplished. Even the best mission, the best scheme, the best idea can be rejected if there is inadequate communication. So public funding can be ensured by clearing the dissonance between what is meant and what is perceived by the general public to minimize unintended negative interpretation of the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Prisha. We have Team Tagore ready with the question.
My name is Arav Bardhan, speaking against the motion. My worthy opponent, the money of the people is already used for space exploration in the form of taxes. So doesn't that go against your argument that there is no interest in how their money is being utilized?
No, it is being used in the form of taxes, but it is not benefiting the lower class right now. So if the upper class, the middle upper class or the rich, if they fund it more, only then can the rural sections of our society be brought up.
Team Blake.
I am Manya Agarwal and I stand against the motion. So you mentioned a rural integration program that ISRO carried out. But the people living in these rural areas only benefited from the integration part of it and not the research or whatever results they yield from the exploration. So don't you think it would be more beneficial to just direct the entire fund towards the betterment of their lives?
No, I did not understand your question.
So you mentioned a rural integration program that ISRO carried out in your speech, right? Wherein they integrated their research with the people, with the lives of the people living in rural areas. So the rural people benefited only from the rural integration of that program and not from the research part of it. So don't you think it would be more beneficial to just direct the entire fund towards the betterment of their lives?
Such integration is not a rapid process. It is a stepwise process, and in the coming future, it can lead to benefits from the research. Right now, it is only the integration part, but in the coming future, we can expand it towards the research part also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prisha. I would request the contestants to keep their questions short in order to allow for more questions to be asked. Thank you, Manya. Now I invite the second participant, Adi Binwale.
Good morning, dear judges. Good morning, all students, and good morning, delegates. I am Adi Binwale, and I am against the motion. Adi Binwale. Yes, ma'am. And I am against the motion. Should the public funds be used for space exploration? Should the public funds be used for space exploration? I don't think so. Because you see, our tax is the main fund, our tax is the main source of funding which is already being used by ISRO, NASA and such organizations. Now, when we are taking more money from the already exploited parts of society, meaning all the common people of our society, we are just using that money upon the money already being taken from us in the form of taxes which are already being used. Now, when you add such a different tax, people are bent to retaliate. It is going to happen because you don't know how the common man is going to react to the government asking for more taxes. So, say, for example, the political factor. Corruption. We all know corruption takes place in politics, yes? So now when more money is coming in, we all know that 50% of this is also going to go to corruption. So we know that our taxes are already being used in corruption. Now more taxes are being used in corruption. So it is just a downside for us in a way. Taking on the economical factor, poverty. We have to fight poverty. If we spend our money in exploring something which is a true gamble, you don't know what you're going to find up there. You don't know if you're going to find anything up there. And you are using your money to do research and to explore something which might not be existent in a way. You cannot find life there. It's possible. So why don't we use that money for our poor people? Why don't we use the money to lift the segments of society which are under the poverty line? Now, even when we are paying those taxes, think of it as this. The rich people are already paying taxes in the form of their luxury goods. They are paying 30% on their income tax. Now, the poor people, they are also paying tax already in the form of indirect taxes such as GST. So, you are just sucking the money out of the people and you are not providing for them. You are trying to do something which is not existent most probably. So, take into example our country. Developing nations like India, we have to develop our infrastructure. We have to fight poverty. We have to fight global warming. All of that money is going to go up there and not here. Again, a gamble. Now, moving on to Earth. Our Earth is our Mother Nature. We live here. Why don't we protect our Mother Nature? You know, it is said, everything begins from home. When there is no starting line, you will never reach an ending. There will be no finish to a race where there is no start. If we don't begin our fight for Earth, then there is not going to be a reversal of the climate change and all. Us exploring the oceans, us exploring our land, there is still so much to be explored. 84% of our ocean is not explored so far. Why don't we explore that? Where we know that some outcome is going to be present, where we know that somehow our lives will be improved. We don't know if going to space is going to improve our lives or not. We are wasting money in a form. Take into example, why don't we leave all of this to Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos and those rich people? They have worked hard. They have attained so many resources. They are using these billions of dollars in extra resources which are not ours, not the public's. And at the end of the day, tell me something, whether ISRO or NASA finds some inhabitable planet or whether Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos finds some inhabitable planet. Next 1,000 years, the population of Earth is not going to be able to be sent there. Okay? Only the rich will be able to go there. Whether it is a government organization or whether it is a private organization, the rich are going to be the one reaping the fruit. That may be you, that may be me, we don't know that. But the poor people, the majority of Earth's population is not going to be able to reap the fruit for which they sowed the seeds. So at the end of the day, fight for what we have and not something which is an illusion or not out of optimism. Thank you.
Thank you, Adi. We have Team Elliott. No, yes, that's Team Elliott.
I'm Vaishnavi Srivastav speaking for. We've been working on climate change for hundreds of years now, and yet we've not been able to reverse it. So what is the guarantee that we never tackle climate change or global warming until Earth just destroys itself? Shouldn't we have a backup plan for ourselves?
Thank you for the amazing question. But you see, there is this cycle of Earth. Ice age comes to happen every few thousands of years, or millions of years, and such. So climate change is a part of the ongoing process of Earth. Climate change has taken place in the past. Climate change will continue to take place in the future. It is impossible, as the Earth's population is growing, to reverse it. Humans are going to go extinct one day or another. You going to space might save, that is, if you find a planet. Again, a what if. If you find a planet, then the top of that pyramid is going to be able to go to space. All of us are going to die here. It's not going to change the reality.
Thank you, Team Tennyson.
I am Rujula. Wonderful speech, by the way. So my question for you is, you said that public funding of space exploration is exploitation of the economically weaker sections of the society. Public funding is voluntary and is based on equity. You give how much you can afford. So how is it exploitation?
They are already paying indirect taxes. They are paying indirect taxes. Thank you for the question, by the way. They are paying indirect taxes, so they are already in large amounts of burden. On the street, they are going to buy a loaf of bread and they are paying tax on that as well. Now, even if you cut down into slabs like income tax, so maybe he might not be paying 100 rupees, he will only be paying 10 because he's not making that much money. But at the end of the day, he's already living hand to mouth, and you are adding one more tax onto that, for which he's not going to reap the fruit. So it is meant to be retaliated, and it is going to happen. The population is not going to behave well towards such a decision.
Thank you, Adi.
Thank you.
I now invite Ishmit Kaur from Team Tagore.
Greetings, everyone. This is Ishmit Kaur, speaking firmly in favor of the motion that space exploration should be publicly funded. We have come a long way, all the way from Galileo Galilei's telescope to today, knowing the nuances of auroras on the moons of Jupiter. This has been a miraculous journey for us. But what crippled Galileo Galilei was the lack of support from authorities. This is where public funding steps in. First of all, I would like to clear the air about public funding. Public funding will be the resources allocated from the budget of the government. It will come indirectly from the taxpayers, not from the private firms themselves, and the public will not be getting the autonomy to decide how much they want to give or when they want to give it. I have three main arguments to support my stance. My first argument talks about the target of space exploration. Whom are we doing all this for? Are we exploring space simply for the scientists, the astronomers, the elite, or the bodies which are developing these technologies? Or are we doing this for the entire population of our country? We are doing this for each and every layman, so that every layman can go out into the world and describe what lies beyond the confines of our atmosphere. This is what public funding will accomplish. If funds are coming from the public, if funds are being given by the taxpayers, then the public will automatically and obviously demand to know what their money is being put into. This demand for knowledge, this increased interest will further the holistic development of our country. It will create more interest in scientific advancements and space exploration. More interest, more knowledge is directly linked to more young minds heading towards this field, more number of scholars in space exploration, more recruitments. This will lead to better compartmentalization and better prioritization of the projects that we are undertaking. And this will decrease the chances of failures because we will be going ahead with better planned and more systematic ventures. Moving on to my second argument, which leads on from the first argument,
The very idea that the public will demand to know what their money is being put into will create a certain sense of accountability for the firms responsible for developing this technology. Let's talk about Boeing. We all know it all started with a single door plug popping out midair. And now today we have the Starliner spacecraft with helium leaks and malfunctioning thrusters. Is this the future that private funding is painting for us? We need to reverse this through public funding. If funds are coming from the public, then this greater accountability, coupled with the public availability of all the data about resource allocation, will allow us to develop our technologies more. It will act as an incentive for the companies to use the best of infrastructure, best of resources. Moving on to my third argument, which talks about the very essence of space exploration. Space exploration is science. Science is knowledge. It is not a commercial venture where profits and losses are prime. If public funding exists, then the slightest lingering doubt that, oh, what if it fails? What if we incur losses? Will be eliminated from the minds of the firms, because then the losses are not being borne by private individuals. This will convert the pioneers of technology into risk takers, transferring them from the comfort zone into the growth zone. I would like to remind each one of you in conclusion that the responsibility for space exploration rests with all of us. Yes, each one of us. So we need to take steps to ensure that this technology reaps the best of fruits. Thank you.
Thank you, Ishmet. Any questions, Team Blake?
I'm Manya Agarwal, standing against the motion. So, great speech, but I have just one simple question. How does the ability to describe what lies beyond Earth affect my ability to survive or put 2 square meals on my table in a day?
Thank you for the question, my worthy opponent. When I spoke about the ability to describe what lies beyond the Earth, I spoke about increased knowledge of scientific innovations, increased knowledge of this space. And I also mentioned in my speech that this leads to greater employment, greater recruitment into these very high-yielding fields. So this will directly uplift the lower sections of the society as well. Thank you.
Yes, Team Whitman.
My worthy competitor, you mentioned that if public funding happens, the public will be able to scrutinize the functioning of organizations that are involved in space research, correct? Now, what is the guarantee that every layman will understand the pages of jargon that is published by those organizations to explain what is actually going on in them and actually being transparent?
Thank you for the question, my worthy opponent. The question that you just put forth to me is the aim that I was speaking about. The aim through public funding is to increase the knowledge among the general public so that the public are more informed. The public know more about the space that surrounds them and the steps that need to be taken to fully explore that outer space. And this will lead to better decisions, better scrutiny from the public side. I hope that answers your question.
Team Shelley.
You said that, great speech by the way, but you said that comfort over growth, it will push them onto the growth sector, seeing that the public are interested in where their money is going. Don't we pay taxes in over electricity, over light bill and everything? We don't tend to check where it's all going. We don't tend to check how much corruption is going on. You don't see any politicians going into jail. You are only paying 10 rupees out of your 1,000 rupees. No one bothers to check whether a spacecraft is going to be sent to space this year or not. So why so fixed that they do check?
I once again request the contestants to keep their questions very short. Thank you.
May I answer that?
Yes, please, yes.
Thank you for the question, my worthy opponent. I would like to remind you that the very aim of public funding is to increase the knowledge, to increase the interest of people in what is going on with regards to space in the industry. So this knowledge, this increased interest what will act as an impetus for the public to check where their taxes are going. Today we don't check because we are ignorant, but that can change.
Thank you, Ishmet. I now request the second speaker from Team Tagore, Arav Bardhan, to come on the podium.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here. My name is Arav Bardhan, and today I'll be speaking against the motion. Firstly, I'd like to correct the flawed characterization of the motion set by the other teams. While my teammate has already cleared the air, I'd like to clarify that public cannot mean people or the general people. That's because all funds ultimately come from the people, be it the private sector or the public sector. The private sector gets its funds from the people through banks and financial institutions, whereas the government gets its funds from the people through has a singular objective: profit. Now compare that to the government sector. You may say the government has the singular objective of social welfare. However, that is not true. It has various hidden objectives like political, religious, military objectives. What these objectives do is that they muddy the waters and they pull space exploration in different directions, which is why time and again the private sector has been proved to be more efficient and waste less resources than the public sector when it comes to space exploration. And a clear example of this is how various countries want to send their citizens to space on their own rockets. India has plans, tomorrow Bangladesh, tomorrow Pakistan. So you see how the same objective is being pursued by various countries. We are not progressing, we are trying to achieve the same thing. Different countries are trying to achieve the same thing. Why? Because of nationalistic and emotive reasons. That's a waste of resources. What we need is the private sector, which will not waste these resources. My second argument will be an ideological argument. Space depends on research, on science and technology. Science and technology must be kept separate from politics. It must be apolitical, it must be a pure endeavor. And this ideological argument does have practical reasons to back it up. If 70 years ago, Hitler could use the science of genetics to radicalize an entire population, consider today, with the echo chambers of social media, it is very clear that certain individuals could use the politicized science of space exploration to radicalize people, which is why we need to keep space exploration away from the state and its muddied objectives. Moving on to my third argument. Regulation. Contrary to popular belief, private sector is not harder to regulate, and space exploration will not be unethical under the private sector. This is because the private sector includes companies and firms that are regulated by the laws of each and every country. If they flout these laws, their license for space exploration can easily be taken away. Contrast this with the public sector. The public sector is the government of the country. They are bound by international laws, and that too only if they agree to sign that treaty. Moreover, they can always take the defense of sovereign right. It is their sovereign right for space exploration. So then how do we enforce rules of ethics on governments? They have a sovereign right to do as they please. Take the example of destabilizing actors like Iran and North Korea. They too have space programs. How can the world force them to follow ethical space exploration? We simply can't. That is where the private sector wins over the public sector. It can be better regulated and it can keep the interests of ethics and of the people in mind. Thus, I conclude by saying space exploration should be the domain of the private sector and it should not be publicly funded. Thank you.
Thank you, Arav. Thank you, Arav. We're waiting for the rebuttal questions. Any team? Team Whitman.
My worthy competitor, I am Treshan Rao Gani, speaking for the motion. My worthy competitor, you spoke about how the public can use in your first point, can use this information of space exploration for harming somebody else. You can misuse the information. But don't you think the private sector is more liable to misuse this information because they have the funds, the power to actually misuse it, rather than the public themselves?
I think you misunderstood my argument. Public themselves, I clarified this right at the start of my speech, publicly funded means funded by the government, and even the government can have the funds and the power to misuse the resources, but the likelihood of them doing that is more because they have that sovereign right. Private sector does not have that sovereign right. They are bound by laws, and if they flout those laws, legal action can be taken against them. Then and there, the license can be taken away. So they're less likely to go against the interests of ethics, against the interests of the people.
Any other question? Team Shelley.
I'm Prisha Pillai and I stand for the motion. So rather than private sectors being concerned about the public, as you stated in your speech, don't you think they'll be more concerned about themselves, which in fact is more probable?
Thank you for that question. Now, The private sector is guided by the profit motive. It will get profit if the public has a good image of it. It needs to maintain its image. If it engages in unethical activities, that image is gone. It won't get investors, it won't get money, so it will be harming its own objectives. It will be harming its own interest. Therefore, it is in the interest of the private sector to be ethical and to keep the interests of the public in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Arav. I now invite Vaishnavi Srivastav from Team L.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Vaishnavi Srivastav, speaking for the motion that space exploration should be publicly funded. Now, space exploration isn't simply a sign of humanity's hubris or just a desire to be at new places. If we are taking the risk to venture beyond our terrestrial homes, it is also to know more about ourselves, our planet, and maybe, just maybe, find or create a future for our children. So is public funding that really big of an ask to secure the future of our children? Consider the advancements in science and technology that space exploration has already brought into our lives. To protect a space shuttle from the destructive fire due to friction in air during re-entry, scientists at NASA have developed a material called aerogel, a highly insulating, highly porous, and a lightweight material so beneficial that they have created a paper-thin version of it that is used in communication devices and insulating buildings even. For astronauts, going into space is like being exposed to 1,000 X-rays at once. So NASA takes the risks of these radiations and ways of mitigating them very seriously. In fact, recent research has helped millions of patients across the globe diagnosed with cancer. So the money that the public is investing into space exploration is coming back to them, just in a different form. But why should we go into space? What is the justification for spending all that time, effort, and money? For what? Bringing back a few lumps of moon rocks? Well, according to Stephen Hawking, this situation is similar to one in Europe before 1492. Everybody said that it was a waste of time, effort, and money to send Columbus on a wild goose chase. But the discovery of the new world had a profound impact on the old. We will not survive another 1,000 years if we don't escape beyond our fragile planet, said Stephen Hawking, and rightfully so, because space exploration caters to the most pressing concerns of humanity: survival. What is the sole and primary purpose of man? As a species belonging to the animal kingdom, it is our animal instinct to sustain our race, which in simple terms is survival of the fittest. The money that the government was spending into these space programs was anyways our money. The only difference now will be we know where the money is going, besides into the pockets of some politicians. We are anyways investing in our future via mutual funds. So why can't we invest in space as well? And let me tell you, everything in this world is bought with money. So is our future. Neil Armstrong was right when he said, "One small step for man, but a giant leap for mankind," because the world, ladies and gentlemen, changed when he took that step. We went from a world that had never ventured beyond the confines of this planet to a civilization that transcended its earthly bounds, forever altering our place in the universe. Excuse me, I still have to continue, sorry. So space exploration isn't simply science fiction. It's the future of human existence. All in all, you cannot shut yourself from the reality of a future where humanity thrives not just on Earth, but among the stars. So the responsibility falls on our shoulders. So let's reach for the stars and make Ray Bradbury proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. Team Tagore.
My worthy opponent, how can you guarantee that space exploration funded by the public will not also fall prey to corruption when so many other economic systems have also fallen prey to corruption?
The reason why we're differentiating between funds going for space exploration and funds for different departments is the very reason that we know that corruption is not going to happen. we as taxpayers are anyways investing into fields like finance, defense, transport, healthcare, but we don't know what's happening with the money. All we've been told by the government is that our money is being used for these fields. But now we know that our money is going for space exploration, so we as public, being in a democratic country, have a right to question the government if they don't use the money for this purpose. Thank you.
Team Frost.
My name is Anika Kumar. I'm speaking against the motion. You had mentioned a multitude of pros of space exploration. However, why would these pros only come about if it was public financing and public funding? Can the same not be achieved through private funding?
That is because private funding, as pointed out by many of my proponents, private companies have an incentive to fall to corruption. Right? So when private investors are investing in space exploration, the benefit only falls to them. But when we as a public are investing in space exploration, as we're investing in other departments that have benefited us, the benefit falls to us as well. Thank you.
Team Shelley, please make the question short. Thank you.
You said that now the only difference would be that now we would be seeing where the money is being used, instead of just being used for space exploration. But this is, in this topic, we are paying extra money upon the taxes that we are already paying. So how is that justifiable?
That is because the taxes that we're paying are going for departments that already existed. Now, besides climate change, besides global warming, besides poverty, we have one more problem arising, which is existence of humanity. So that is why we need one more department to invest into. Can't we invest into our future as well, besides investing into our present? Thank you.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. I now invite the next speaker from Team Elliott, Rudra Pratap Singh.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairperson, respected judges, and all those present here. I'd like to say that publicly funding space exploration is not only an illogical, but also an unfeasible endeavor that bears no fruit. That is why I'm against this motion. Before I begin, I'd like to introduce all of you to myself. Today, I'm the common man, the man who pays 30% of his salary to the government for advancements in various sectors, like education, development, infrastructure, corruption, and for some reason now, you want to ask me to give a fraction more of my income to a pursuit that might not even reap a benefit to me. All we want to do is send cute dogs and monkeys into space and call it space exploration. And the only benefit that I do see, to quote my Google News page, is beautiful pictures of the James Webb Telescope in the universe on my phone, which is not a benefit exactly. And if I might be lucky, I might win the Oreo Space Dunk Challenge and actually get to go to space. So that's the only benefit I see here. The government is earning lakhs of crores from indirect taxes alone, not even including the income tax that we pay. Still, we want to put the burden of an entire industry on a person who's barely starting to understand that mutual funds sahi hai. A financially illiterate population, all those listening here. Furthermore, I'd like to ask, who here exactly wants off this planet? And why so suddenly? Do we actually come across a random person on the road who wants off this planet? Unless, of course, he's been troubled by a sibling who he has to share a room with. But I don't see this as a problem that arises with the people at this point in time. It's arisen for a few people, like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, who want off this planet just because they have the resources to even think about it in the first place. Resources that should be spent on solving problems here. Rather, they're spending such resources in pursuits up there just because they don't want to solve the problems down here. Is that justified at all? Furthermore, if we think about that one person on the road with that metal plate and the QR code attached under it, who's asking for money from every person, you know who it is. How are we supposed to ask that one person for money from whatever he earns, the little coins that he does, how are we supposed to ask that one person for the money for an entire space program when he's barely able to arrange for 3 square meals a day? That is not justified, ladies and gentlemen. Furthermore, I'd like to ask you, of the billions of dollars that we've spent on flash frozen food, space suits, rockets, and the cheapest rocket, Falcon by SpaceX, is already at $600 million, which, let me tell you, is not cheap. Then how exactly are we to ask people for more of their money in a pursuit that might not reap any benefit? And as investors, wouldn't we like to know more about what we're spending on? But what we do know is, to quote a teenager's WhatsApp chat, is ... because 95% of space is dark matter, something we haven't even proved conclusively exists yet. Then how are we to spend our money on such pursuits at all? Now, to conclude, I'd like to appeal to all of those present here, as humans, that have been birthed by the earth. Shouldn't we help our mother in her time of need? Why must we spend our money and resources on problems up there when our mother cries here? Is this what good children would do? Thank you. Live long and prosper.
Thank you, Rudra. Team Tagore.
My worthy opponent, humans have always evolved through risks. So should the public stop funding a promising technology now simply because the outcome is precarious?
We do take risks, yes, but we don't know about what risk we're taking as a public completely. There's not enough awareness amongst us at all to be able to fund such a research program. And if we do want to take risks, they should be calculated risks, not just aiming for something that might not even be visible yet.
Team Shelley.
I'm Prisha Pillai and I stand for the motion. Now let's say we use this money that is provided to the space programs to help the poor people, or in your words, solve problems here. So how will you ensure that this huge amount of money, crores of money, will be used to benefit people here and poor people without corruption? Because corruption is practically everywhere.
My speech does not seem to provide a solution to problems that have come within the government for helping the people already. What I'm saying is that the funds we do provide might not be used in such pursuits at all. I've never said that I want to provide a solution for the government doing such things. I'm saying that the funds we do provide are in pursuits that might not reap benefits to us. Therefore, I'm not going to provide a solution for something like this. This is up to the government.
Thank you. Thank you, Rudra Pratap. I now invite Krishan Rao Gani from Team Whitman.
From Sunita Williams to Kalpana Chawla to Rakesh Sharma, every national hero that we celebrate, there's one thing that is common in everyone. Exploration, and exploration. A very good morning to all the respected judges and my dear friends. I am Treshan Rao Gani and I stand here firmly for the motion that yes, space exploration should be publicly funded. Now what does space exploration mean? Does it mean going to some other planet, meeting aliens, being friends with Jadoo? Well, space exploration, as Neil Armstrong said, it is to rediscover everything that exists. Talking about public funding seems like a daunting task, isn't it? Taking money from your pocket, which the government has allotted in its budget, and putting in places which may not be as tangible as to giving you any particular reward. But today I stand here with 3 reasons. I have 3 reasons as to why I believe that the public are equal stakeholders to any space exploration program. Talking about my first point, I know all of you are very tired after this debate competition, isn't it? But I am sure you will remember that handsome boy who had given the speech during the debate competition. And my fans, of course, would want to know what I will say next, isn't it? Similarly, when the public puts in the money or their money is allotted to any particular thing, they have the desire to understand what that thing is all about. This promotes scientific inquiry, the curiosity to understand and explore space in its truest form. As somebody said, space exploration is not just for Neil Armstrong or for the science textbook. It's for us, the public, to understand what it is. My second point is about just remember the moment when Chandrayaan 3 was launched. That nail-biting moment when you sat in front of your television and, oh my God, the most rewarding moment as an Indian, wasn't it? Similarly, it is our fundamental right as citizens to contribute to something that holds national importance. Because any space rocket that would be launched, it is not ISRO launching a rocket, it is India that goes to space. And I believe that it is a fundamental right to be stakeholders in whatever that holds national importance. And the third point, many of the opposition members said that perhaps economy would be burdened with space exploration, people would not get to eat food, unicorns exist, cars can fly and stuff like that. But if you look at Indian Space Research Organization, that is ISRO, today the projects are low-cost projects. If you look at the recent Mangalyaan project, it had a budget or the cost which is less than the budget of Bahubali movie. Think about it. How India in less cost can spend rockets for space exploration as well as cater to the needs of the people in the country. Well, Swami Vivekananda, one of the person who's very close to my heart, once said, "Awake, arise, and stop not till the goal is reached." And I believe that space exploration is a goal that should reach millions of citizens across the globe, and every person becomes equal stakeholders to it. To conclude, I have one quote that is really close to my heart. History, past is a history, future is a mystery, but the past, the present is a gift that we will cherish. So today, let us be equal stakeholders to space exploration programs, that space exploration can reach the zenith of success in the next 10 years. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dreshan. The floor is open for the rebuttal question. Yes, we have Team Tagore.
My worthy opponent, how will you convince the millions of citizens who need to depend on government subsidies for basic food to contribute to space exploration?
Now, my worthy competitor, in the entire topic or in the entire speech, does it ever say that if the budget is, if some amount is being allotted for space exploration, they will cut down on your subsidies? You will not get food, or you will go on the street starving, hungry. That wouldn't happen. Because the government and I know you have criticized the budget a lot, but there's one primary thing that the government does is to allocate their money or the resources in every field equally. If money is being put for space exploration, in no possible terms would it actually mean that your subsidies or your fundamental amount of money which the poor people or the people below poverty line get would actually be harmed by that. As clear as it is in the ambit of the topic.
Thank you. We have Team Frost.
My worthy opponent, you had said that despite a low budget, ISRO has managed to do many great things. However, ISRO is still years and decades even behind other space organizations. How can we, with a low budget, achieve this zenith of space exploration, as you said?
The answer lies in the topic, by public funding, isn't it? Because when we debate on topics whether the public should fund the space exploration program, that itself means that we have to allot some money for space exploration. When money would be allotted for that? My first point when I said the general public would be more aware of every program that happens. The public knows where the money is going. The public holds some sort of pressure, gives some sort of pressure to all such organizations, which makes them more accountable and inspires them to work harder. Money, resources, and everything would more equally be distributed if the public funding is given to space research organizations. And that's where I would like to rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Treshan. Judges, the last rebuttal question was posed by Anika Kumar of Team Frost. I now invite the second speaker, Vashisht Kaushik, to deliver the speech.
Am I audible? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vashisht Kaushik, and I stand here before you today to present my views firmly against the motion. Should space research, space exploration to be more particular, be funded by public or by, as clarified before by people, be public funded by the government through public taxes. Now, before I begin, I think I should take a little bit of your time to tell you what the motion entails. When we talk about space exploration, we're not referring to communication satellites and geosynchronous satellites. We're referring particularly to the attempted discovery of extraterrestrial worlds. That is it. And then there's that part of public funding, which involves regular taxation years and allotting a separate amount of your salary to fund our space exploration. Some people even suggested voluntary funds. And then there were suggestions of democracy being equivalent to holding sole propriety over every fiscal decision that comes across for our country. But let's be honest, how unreasonable that is. Let me paint you a picture. Let's imagine you live in a world where you need 90 rupees, exactly 90 rupees to survive. I know the price of tomatoes and petrol has gone up, but thoda sa imagine. If you earn just 100 rupees every day, you get to save only 10 rupees. And how do you choose to spend those 10 rupees? Will you buy a Diwali rocket, light it up and watch it go up in the sky and light up the sky? Or will you use it to buy new studs because you tore your last pair? No. You'll use it to buy medicines. So that when you're not well, when you don't have the capacity to work, you have something to hold you down. This is the condition of 58% of the global population. That is 480 million people who barely make enough money to survive. And now, we expect them to spend a little bit more of their money for something that does not even concern them, so that they can go and read more science textbooks, more space exploration textbooks, go and sit at these debates and just talk about them instead of actually experiencing them. Is that what we expect them to do? Now, the second point that I will raise in front of you is the success rate. People have come over here and have glorified missions like Chandrayaan-3 or Mangalyaan mission. But what about the ones that have failed? What about the double digits that countries like the US, China, Russia are racking up just trying to send tin cans to space to click pretty pictures of Mars? Our scope for space exploration is like an island of success in a sea of mediocrity. That is the world that we're living in. And that is what we want to invest in. That is what we expect the general public to invest in. I'm sorry, I don't find that reasonable. Because I wouldn't. I come from a simple family, and I wouldn't. What about the fact that we may have to allocate emergency funds to save people like Sunita Williams, who will be battling radiation for the next year? Do we wait for another taxation cycle just to send money to those companies which can make the necessary rockets to bring those people back to home? Why not invest in private culture? Why not ask private companies to do it for us when they can do it and when they have an interest in doing it and when they're willing to take the risk in doing it? Why do we take that risk upon ourselves? Why not rather save our planet? Why not rather save our country rather than invest in sending rockets up to space? Thank you.
Thank you. Team Elliott.
I'm Vaishnavi Srivastav speaking for. Space exploration isn't just used for space colonization. We as humans have originated from the universe, so studying about space means studying about our origins. Don't you think it will help solve problems here on Earth itself?
My worthy competitor, firstly, thank you for the question. I love the way how you try to insinuate that we may not be from Earth and we are actually from outer space. But to be very reasonable, my worthy competitor, I think it is much more important for us to allocate our funds to understanding the resources that we have available on Earth and let the people who are interested about space find out about space. I think it's more important that we save our planet before we jump on about saving space.
Team Tagore.
My worthy opponent, is space exploration confined only to pictures of Mars and textbooks? What about the sweeping changes like better protection from solar storms that has come about from space exploration?
My worthy competitor, again, you talk about protection from solar storms. One, there is no way to protect us from them as of yet, apart from relying on the magnetic field of the Earth, which is something that nature has provided to us. And need I not remind you that the current status of global warming is also affecting the magnetic field. So while your question is irrelevant, I would again suggest everybody standing in this room to divert our attention to the issues that hit us, to the issues that hurt us. That is the depreciation of our world, our planet. And let the people who are entrusted about space and are willing to take the risk to go to space, have the resources to go to space, let them take that risk. Thank you. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Vashisht. Thank you. I now invite Rujula Lakshmikant Rao from Team Tennyson.
A very good afternoon to everyone present here. Myself, Rujula Lakshmikant Rao, and today I will be standing for the motion that space travel should be publicly funded. So before I begin on this hefty topic, let me tell you a small incident or a story from my personal life. Many years ago, it was the year my sister was born, and me not being able to play around her or not being able to make noise in the house, I was forced to resort to television. And as I switched on the television, the movie that appeared in front of me was Koi Mil Gaya. I think all of us are aware of that movie, right? And as soon as I saw that movie and the character Jadoo was introduced to me, I ran to my mom. I was like, Mom, I need to meet Jadoo. We also have a computer at home. Ask Dad to make some connections, and I'll get Jadoo here. I'll hide him, I'll play with him. That is where my questions about life outside Earth, or is there something beyond what we know exists, that is where it started. And I think for most of us, it must be that. Somewhere or the other, it was something by a movie or maybe a book or some news article that we were, the bulb lighted in our mind that, okay, there might be something like this, and we can ponder upon things. That is how it started. So it's a hefty topic, isn't it? So let us divide it into a few parts. Space exploration. Space exploration is exploring what is beyond us, what is beyond visible to us right now. And what are the reasons for space exploration, I must say? It widens our span of knowledge, like a lot. It gives us a lot of information beyond what we know right now and what will happen or what is happening right now outside the terrestrial world that we have right now. It also gives us possibilities of life outside Earth. Didn't Jadoo make all of us question at least once that is there some life outside Earth? I'm sure it must have. It also helps us to understand or know about threats that are posing to Earth. Like, I think the asteroid that is about to hit us in 2030, how do we know about it? Or the possibility of how it is going to hit us. It is also space exploration. How do we know that somewhere or the other solar rays are harmful to us? It is space exploration, right? We cannot sit on Earth here just looking at the sky and understanding, oh, this is what happens, that is what happens. No, you need to put in some efforts. And that is what space exploration is. Next up, public funding. What is public funding? Public funding is where individuals or people put in their money for a cause voluntarily, which matches their ideologies somewhere or the other. A public will not fund anything which is out of their which is something beyond what they believe. It will always be something that they support. You and I will not pay money for something where we are against it, right? We obviously we are ready to put in money where we know that this might bear fruits, and yes, I do believe it. That is where public funding comes in. And now the entire topic, space exploration being funded publicly. So these many years, the Indian Space Research Organization is government funded. So they are taking up many missions like Chandrayaan, Mangalyaan, Aditya L1, and that is helping us gain a lot of information about the world. Now, when we publicly fund this, it means a chunk of our hard-earned money is going somewhere. And when it is like a ladder, and India is run by people, India is run by a system which is basically a ladder. And the thought of ladder, I think, exhausts us all. So do you think that the allotted money that the government has put forward for these organizations is not exhausted by the time it reaches the top? I surely think it is. While these missions will be publicly funded, people will be more aware of what is happening and will be vigilant of how their money is spent. And I think that will help them pay attention to the detail and will make us cautious. Lastly, I would like to say that there are many people like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who were there for space exploration. They began from nothing, and yet we are here today. I think if we follow their footsteps and begin to trust people who are doing that somewhere or the other, the public funding will help reach great heights. Thank you.
Thank you, Rujula. We have two teams posing for the rebuttal question. I'll go with Team Whitman.
My name is Vashish Kaushik. I'm against the motion. My worthy competitor, you mentioned that when people get involved in this public funding, when people are more involved in it, they'll want to know where their money is going. So even as of now, the public funding is being used to foster basic sanitary services like making washrooms and stuff. And even now, people aren't informed about what is happening. So why will they take interest in space exploration then?
Okay, you mentioned about public washrooms being made and sanitations. Have you not observed public washroom stalls being there? I think that is where the money is being used. It is not like it is going waste. And people do take notice of what is happening.
Team Tagore.
My worthy opponent, how do you justify defining public funding as crowdfunding?
I think public funding, the basic idea of public funding is basically when you put in money. We have seen many incidents where people fund money for people who are sick or maybe natural disasters that have occurred somewhere. What is it? It is public funding. Public to you can mean many things. It can also mean government. It can also mean individuals. But on this level, ISRO and all these organizations are already being funded by the government right now. So in this context, for me, I believe that public funding here means funding by the individual.
That's Team Frost.
My worthy competitor, you had said that a chunk of our hard-earned money would be allocated towards these resources and explorations. How do you know and how can you say that this is, if this is hard-earned money, the best allocation of the public's money?
I think you misunderstood my question. I said that a chunk of our hard-earned money is being put out as taxes. I did not mention that it is being put out as funding for space explorations. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, Rujula.
Thank you.
I now invite the second speaker from Team Tennyson, Bhargav Sen Bhaumik.
Hello, hello. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bhargav Sen Bhaumik, and I stand here fervently presenting my opinions opposing the motion that space exploration should be funded publicly. The mere thought of it saddens me. You know why? In the very first round of this competition, we had to go to a school, and it took us what seemed like hours on end to reach because of the infamous dark voids on the roads of India, the potholes. And let me paint you a picture. You're going to the airport to fetch your daughter, and the airport roof collapses on your head. How would you feel? That is what happens when, due to inefficiency in public funding. In today's society, we live in a world which is mostly dominated by the capitalists. These are the people who are in control of the productive resources which are being used to to produce commodities for the normal people, for the normal public. And I surely believe that if such capitalists can throw big billionaire weddings, they can put aside some amount of money to sponsor space explorations, right? capitalists in the private sector, it is not only because they have the money they afford, it's not only because they can afford it, there are also other merits, like a spirit of enterprise, which is a cause of the competition in the private sector. So we cannot forget the case of the space race of Russia and America, which gave us the Sputnik and our first step on the moon. And resources are efficiently utilized, better allocated, because the companies are under high pressure from the publics, from the normal people, from the normal publics. Otherwise, it would affect their goodwill and their public image. Why is public funding not so efficient? Mostly because inadequacy and inefficiency in the planning authority, inertia of the bureaucrats who are appointed to implement the policies of the government. The Economic Times produced this data. Up to 25% of IAS officers in India are either incompetent, inefficient, or are not skilled enough. Now, to address the apple of discord, we should work towards enhancing the functioning of public funding to make it better. Instead, public funding should be used to fund the MSMEs of India, the infrastructure and the colleges to produce skilled workers. Because let's be honest, our country is facing a dearth of working professionals, skilled working professionals. And the economic survey predicted that India needs to add at least 7.85 million jobs every year till 2030 to sustain its economic development. To conclude my speech, I would like to say that the public or the government would only fund what it deems as necessary, right? A developing country like India, where a still largest chunk of the people are finding it difficult to put food on their plate or are not having enough clean water or electricity. A country like Iraq, where the government cannot even decide on a proper age of consent, will they be interested in funding the space explorations? Thank you.
Thank you, Bhargav. Team Whitman.
I am Treshan Raugani. I'm speaking for the motion. My worthy competitor, you spoke about how the government today, you spoke about how it should fund the MSME. The government today is funding space exploration. Does it mean that funds are not being allocated to public services?
Funds are obviously being allocated to public services. That is why we are seeing a growth in economic development. But what I mean is more of such funds from the public, which will be useful for the public as a whole, right? They should be, more of these funds should be invested in the MSMEs.
Team Tagore.
You spoke of public funding being inefficient, but from the condition of Williams and Wilmore, which is brought about by a private spacecraft, private funding is also inefficient. So what do you have to say about this?
Every medicine has an antidote. Nothing is foolproof in this world that we live in. Everything will have inefficiency to some extent. So it is our responsibility as humans to figure out the inefficiencies and try to work towards the direction to make them efficient.
The last question from Team Elliott.
You said people in this country are struggling to put food on our plates. Let me tell you, ISRO only occupies 0.04% of India's GDP. So if every one of 1.4 billion people in this country give an iota of their money, we will be able to smoothly conduct operations in space.
Yes, and?
So what do you have to say
That is
for
a
that?
statement.
It is easily affordable for the people of our country to afford the space missions.
Yes, but a still larger chunk of the people that are living here are not going to do that. You scroll through so many shorts on YouTube, people are asking for money. That is called crowdfunding. Do you click on every short and go to the website to donate the money, donate your money? No, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhargav. And that brings us to the end of the debate. Congratulations to all the speakers for speaking so well. Your eloquence and thoughtful arguments were very, very impressive. Each of you brought a unique perspective and demonstrated a lot of poise. Whether you win or not, your efforts and passions have made this debate a great success. Well done, everyone, and let's give a big round of applause for all the participants. Now, the proposition supported the topic citing advancement in science, technology, and potential benefits to humanity, while the opposition argued against it with the high cost and other pressing societal needs. Both sides presented their points well. In my opinion, with issues like societal injustices, some of you have also mentioned the climate change, public health concerns, and other urgent topics, it may seem like exploring space is a waste of public fund. While it is important to address these issues, solving these problems don't depend on public or private funding. On the contrary, I would say the money spent on the space program by the government positively impacts the economy by supporting the highly skilled jobs, fuel technology advancement, and it creates business opportunities that will feed back into the economy of the country. Thus, this grows the pool of the public money, which can be then spent on solving most pressing problems. That was my take on the topic today. Thank you. The judges have awarded the points to the participants. We'll wait for the final results to be tabulated and announced. Is there any participant, is there any student in the audience who wish to speak on the topic? Okay. I request our esteemed judges to share their thoughts on the topic and the competition this morning.
The highest reward for a person's toil is not what they get for it, but what they become by it. With these words by John Ruskin, I congratulate this august gathering of young national debaters in the making. A very good afternoon to all of you, dear students, teachers, parents, my co-judges, and the principal of HFS, Mrs. Lamba. I must compliment you, ma'am, and the school for having done a tremendous job in hosting this very prestigious Frank Anthony All India Inter-School Debate. Now today, as we watched you all battling with your wits, sharpened by your persuasive arguments and your logical thinking, you know, you just breathe life into the words that says, knowing others is intelligence, but knowing yourself is wisdom. Mastering others is strength, but mastering yourself is true power. Why do I quote this, children? I quote this because today we were given flow sheets with certain standard set of parameters to measure your debating abilities on. Do you think as a judge we were just putting marks, numbers against those parameters on your name? No. As an observer, we were keenly looking for that unique winning streak in each one of you. And that comes as a culmination of your conviction, your strategy, your tactic, and your delivery. And that is why I quoted, mastering yourself becomes your inimitable power. All of you, all the participants we saw, you were effectively working towards the 4 C's of debating, whether it was critical thinking, or it was creativity, it was collaboration, or communication. Now, critical thinking, why? Why did you have to do critical thinking? Because you had to anticipate your opponent's strongest argument and rebut it with evidence. So you had to think on both sides of the argument. Why did you have to be a creative thinker? You had to be a creative thinker because when you were crafting your compelling arguments and then articulating and defending your position, you just might have found yourself arguing on a side that you don't personally agree with. Can you afford to show it to the audience and the judges? No. Instead, you have to use a manner that communicates your conviction in the argument that you're making. And that is why, dear debaters, debating becomes the toughest form of public speaking. And here, after you have done your analysis and you have accumulated your ideas, then you need to communicate your ideas and analysis with an unruffled approach, making eye contact, speaking passionately. You had to use body language, tone of voice to engage your audience. You know it very well, all of you. If you have them by their eyes, then their hearts and minds are sure to follow. And therefore, today, communication worked for those of you who have consistently worked on your communication skills this far. Collaboration, I don't think anybody lagged in that. All of you worked very collaboratively to make your arguments very practical, productive, logical, convincing. And when you have very successfully carried out, effectively executed all these 4 C's of debating, then comes the 5th C of debating. That is your civic awareness. Awareness of what are the challenges faced by you as a student, as a community, as a nation. And trust you me, it is excellence in the 5th C, the civic awareness, that makes the best of the breed sitting in the midst of you. Now, your rebuttal round, I think I can assure you that that was the most action-packed round. We saw all of you getting activated, and you know, your event was gathering a lot of momentum. Each time you had to rebut your opponent, so that was very impressive. Some of you in the rebuttal used very good mix of tact and initiative. You were exhibiting maturity of thoughts, intellectual integrity for your age, and all of you, most of you, were using your persuasive skills very deftly. So that was beautifully executed. Now today I have only one thing to say. I could see a winner in each one of you today. There was a distinct strength in each one of you. If you can work on it, if you can build on it and make it your USP, it's going to take you a long way in your debating life. So with the permission of this house and you young debaters, if I can take 2 minutes to run you through a quick oral critique of what are the strengths that I was observing as you guys were battling in debating. Is that okay with you? Is everybody okay with that? Do I have a couple of minutes, ma'am? Okay, I have made my short notes on you all as you all were debating. Now, when I take the name of the attribute, and I take a few names, doesn't mean that the others did not have it. These guys stood a cut above the rest. So when I take your names, if it's okay, if your guys are comfortable, raise your hand, so that your peers can see what attribute in you to emulate in order to beat you down the next time you're around clashing with them in your next debate, whenever in life. Is that okay? If you're okay with it. Okay. Now, I have a few points. In content, everybody was very good. Very good for the kind of topic given to you, I think, for your age, and you know, you were very good in content. It was very wholesome, focused, knowledge, had depth and power. But I felt these people had good content. Arav, Rudra Pratap, Vashisht, Adi, Ishmit, and there, the first girl, Sweda, your content was very good. Analysis, using good analysis, evidences, arguments, very objective, balanced thinking, practical, productive views, making very logical arguments of your ideas were, I think, Vashisht, you were very good. Arav, you just were too good on the floor. Rudra Pratap, Bhargav, Prisha, Ishmit, Abhijit, Adi, Anika, you were very good with your analysis. An impressive start, creative with your speech. Used a quote, you used a proverb, you used a pertinent anecdote that leads to a problem statement. That was Threshan, Ishmit, Manya, Alankriti, Rujula, Raji Devi, you were very good. Anika, you were good. Abhijit, and I'm forgetting the name of the lady in the last team, yes, Rujula, you were very good. Making an unpertinent anecdote before you start making us involved with what you're going to speak. Some of you had a very cheerful disposition. You clearly enjoy very strong expressive faculty, and you can speak with enthusiasm even on a boring topic. And you appeared like you were enjoying yourself. Whatever you spoke, you were enjoying. And once you were enjoying, you know that your audience is enjoying you. So you can engage them better. I think Adi, Ishmit,
Manya, Raji Devi, you were very good, coming to the forefront. And Rudra Pratap, you also were very good. Now, this is all in my mind what I observed. Now, some of you sounded wonderfully eloquent. You sounded very professional. You very clearly know that the sound of your voice and the choice of your words will make the biggest impact. And you know what, children, you are making a story to the judges. Make it sound like one that the judges want to believe in. So that was very beautifully done by Raji Devi, Anika, Treshan, Arav, you were good, Alankriti, Manya, Vaishnavi, Anika, you were good, Abhijit, also very good. Sweda, you were very eloquent. Can I have you, Sweda? Raise your hand. You were also very eloquent. So I found, did I miss anybody? Vaishnavi. So all of you, I found you very enjoying, sounding very professional, sounding very eloquent. Some of you diversified the tone. No one wants to listen to a monotonous speaker, especially when you're making a boring argument sound very interesting. The tone of your voice is a reflection of your personality, and you lived up to it. I think Treshan, you were good. Raji Devi, you were good. Alankriti, Manya, Anika, you were good. Adi, Tane, you were good. Ishmit, you were good. Then applying the nods rule. I'm sure you all know the nods rule of how your gestures need to be neutral, open, defined, and strong. Some of you used very proactive gestures to make your argument sound very rational, very logical. One of them is Adi. I don't know, Adi, raise your hand. Yes, you had very, very good gestures. The others who were equally following in suit were Vashisht, Arav, Rudra Pratap, Vaishnavi, Alankriti, Prisha, Ishmit, Abhijit, Anika. So that was it. And the deliberate dramatic pauses, that was so impressive in some of you. So you gave the audience time to stew on what you were talking about, and it gave you time to generate the next idea. So that was a smart move by Alankriti, Manya, Adi, Ishmit, Vashisht, Vashisht is, who's Vashisht? Yes, Vashisht, you were very good on that. And Bhargav, you were very good on that. You bookended, some of you bookended your speech with the most compelling arguments. And that is very important to do. Whatever time runs out, you better bookend your speech with your compelling arguments so that if somebody's attention is straying, you get it back on yourself. So that was very well done by Raji Devi, Abhijit, Teshan, raise your hand. Tane, Anika, Arav, Vaishnavi, and Rudra Pratap. Rebuttals. Now, this was very interesting. Some of you were so engrossed in asking questions. In the questioning, as in you were questioning the speaker, you were very good. Vaishnavi, Anika, Rujula, you were very good in speaking. Vashisht, you were good. Abhijit, Alankriti, Ishmit, Arav, you were very good. Giving credence to your opponent before challenging the viewpoint, that is a very unique attribute. You need to give credence before you challenge the viewpoint. That was there. I could see it very distinctly in Vashisht, Shivam, and Adi. That was there. And the last attribute, you sounded like you knew what you were talking about. Now, God alone knows if you knew what you were talking about or you actually knew. That doesn't matter in debating. But you looked and sounded so confident, so clear, and unambiguous. Were quite a few. Raji Devi, Adi, Treshan, and even, I'm forgetting your name, beta. Arav, you were very good. So this is, you proved the point that debating is predominantly about, not about what you know. It's actually about how you feel about what you know. So that is very important, to look and sound confident. And before I take your leave, children, I want to tell you only one thing. Do not read too much into the marks. I know marks can make or break, but in your debating life, marks is just a part of your life. It's not the entire thing. So if you have chosen debating as part of your life, then it is not a short sprint, it's a marathon. Be at it, don't give up. I could see none of you sitting here. None of you sitting here is just another brick in the wall called debating. You are as unique, as immaculate a debater as one can get. So my best wishes to all of you.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, heartiest congratulations to all the children here. Our hearts were in our mouths. We were feeling, we had not seen you. And I want to ask you, since we are talking about space exploration, which planet do you belong to? You were awesome. Please, the few people, we all are here, can we have a loud round of applause? So beautifully and confidently dealt with a topic which possibly may not have been each one's strength or knowledge bank. But fantastic. Let me tell you, the art of communication is the most empowering life skill that you can have. And communication is the language of leadership. So each one of you here is a born leader. You are fabulous. And my heartfelt congratulations to you. I know you're waiting for the results, so I won't take more time. But we are thoroughly impressed with each one of you. Congratulations.
How many of us really get into space exploration and other things? But having said that, with the little bit that you had, you did a very good job. However, we are all saying everybody is very good. You are very good. But somebody has to also be a little critical, isn't it? I don't know how many of you, there was just one child who made a difference between crowdfunding and public funding. Public funding is what the taxes are used for. And yes, there is an allocation. I only felt also a little sad that y'all don't trust, many of you don't trust the elected representatives of the country to do what is right. So perhaps my generation has failed somewhere. Perhaps you will do a better job when you get up there. Yes? So, doesn't matter. Somebody has to win, somebody has to not win. But every one of you is good. Yes? I'm not going to take names or say anything. I did make a little note, but I won't mention names. Because to me, every one of you is a winner. The fact that you came up here to another place, not your own school, not your comfort area, and you spoke in front of total strangers, just having to go to the library and sit down and write, not knowing what the other people are going to speak. Brilliant. I wish you lots and lots of debating and a lot of success in life. But more than anything else, be happy in what you do. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon to everyone. I am Soman Shaut, and even I was a participant for the Frank Anthony Memorial. I was representative of my school. And even we had a similar topic. Our topic was exploring a new world is contention for no gain. It didn't have the public funding part, of course. But this topic, I felt, each one of you had some varied content altogether, and I would like to, ponder. There are many thoughts pondered on, so I would like to mention a few. One of them was about the corruption and the funds that go to the government. Most of you said that our funds, those are not actually used, and we are kept in a dark room and we don't know what our money is being used for. Well, that is true in most of the cases. But then we all have the right to vote. So when you do vote, please try to read all of the representative parties. They have the aims of their 5-year plan. So if we make an effort to read that, I think the corruption that is being going on in our country, all of us are kept in a dark room and not told about where is our money being spent. I think that would be nullified if all of us just go and read about the political parties and their own plans. Secondly, world exploration. Many of you oppose that. You had your own points, but think of this. Ferdinand Magellan, Vasco da Gama, and Christopher Columbus. In their era, they were explorers, and all of their exploration, all of their works were very profitable to us. Today, the world, especially Europe, they know India because of Vasco da Gama. So in our era, Isn't it our duty, our right, to explore more when it's possible? And I would like to mention this quote of Swami Vivekanand. He says that 1 ounce of practice is equivalent to 1,000 pounds of just theory. So just relying on the theory that we do, sitting on Earth about the space and the exploring things that are going on there, I think we should go out there and practice so that all of these varying perspectives, they all just get solved and we get the right thought in all of our minds. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I now request respected Principal Ma'am to say a few words, please.
The judges have spoken beautifully about the performance of each and every one of you. One thing I know for sure, that every school has sent their best performance here. And all the performers were, all the debaters spoke eloquently. And what I really felt was that many of you did not understand the topic very clearly, because when we are talking of public money, we are talking of the government. Public money is the government money. Privatization is different, which is only one speaker spoke it very eloquently and with a lot of clarity. So nevertheless, it was not a very easy topic, but you gave it your best. And for that, you all deserve a big round of applause, all of you, for speaking so well.
There was one thing that I did not mention when I came, how impressed I was. Mrs. Lamba, I must congratulate you all that you all chose. Poetry is very close to my heart. And every one of you, you know, were named after the famous poets. And I was just telling her, I said, I got one poem, first line from every poet. It was only Walt Whitman that I forgot. Have you got a poem? I thought, what do we have there? Frost. Can someone tell me the name, the poem? Robert Frost's poem, last line. Woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. And who's the next person? Keats. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. And he says, okay, then the next one is? Come again? Oscar Wilde. He's the man who said, I have nothing to declare but my genius. And where do we have, who's this? Blake, Tiger, Tiger, burning bright. And here we have Shelley, who said, my God, I'm getting old, I'm forgetting. To a skylark, ode to thee, blithe spirit, birth thou never wert. Then we have Tagore, who said, where the head is held high and the mind is without fear. Eliot, modern guy, I grow old, I wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. That's what he said. And of course, Walt Whitman, that was the only poem I got a little stuck. Love the earth. Sorry, but I must read more of Walt Whitman. I come back to that. And of course, Tennyson. Men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. I was so happy when I saw this. I thought I must congratulate Team HFS Thane for this. And of course, because Mrs. Lamba is an old friend and colleague, I took the liberty of saying, let me announce the prize. Actually, it's her prerogative. Miss, you must come with me. Okay, we'll start with the runners-up team. The runners-up team was, of course, Walt Whitman. Can we have them come here? Just stand here, yes. Very good, congratulations, Nan. I liked the way you spoke. Yes, and the winning team is Tagore. You set the stage on fire. The second runner-up speaker goes to Trishan Rao Ghani. Okay. The first runner-up speaker, Arav Bardhan. And the best speaker, no doubt, no guesses, right? Ishneet Kaur. I think the judges were almost unanimous in that. Miss, can we announce the name of the school? I have not announced the names of the thing. Whitman is Sulochana Devi Singhania School, and Tagore is Bombay Scottish Mahim. Congratulations, children.